Okay, so Houston, we had a communication problem. I think that the enemy is busy and was trying to work against us. So if you were just with us, hopefully you'll join us again. I sent a message and you'll get a message that we are live and you can join in with us. So to rewind it back to the beginning. Oh, hey, Dexter Peggins.
Dex, what's
I
up?
just sent you a like it and we were having technical difficulties. So hopefully Lakeish and a few others will be able to, and Tony and Kim Akins. That's the way it comes up. Kim Akins who is able to join with us. Yes, Perry's part 2.
Oh my goodness.
So we're talking about communication.
We just put on a clinic, by the way, a clinic in horrible communication on that little communication shutdown up here. Too bad you couldn't hear it.
Yeah, but you may have heard it and we didn't know you heard it. So with that said, we're going to get back into it because we don't want to keep you long. I know a lot of people are winding down from their Monday, and what a Monday it has been.
Yes.
So, communication. Oh, Dynasty. It was so good to see you and Frank and Frank Jr.
Yep.
Glad you could connect with us. So yes, communication, huge, huge, huge. And, you know, we decided on Mondays we're bringing you into our home. And so communication always comes up.
Now, into our home, like, you know, past the living room, family room area.
Why did we do that?
Oh, I thought, okay, this what you prefer. Okay, continue.
Right into our home.
Not all the way in, though, I'm saying just, part of the way in there.
Right here, this far into our home.
Okay.
So because we're around each other a lot, 80-90% of the time, communication becomes key for us, as it is in many marriages. And navigating really the nuances, the secrets, the path, figuring out, cracking the code to good communication.
What secrets? Whose secrets?
Secrets to good communication.
Oh.
Cracking the code on how to communicate.
I thought you meant like.
Hey, Kim, welcome back.
Hey.
Sorry, the enemy was busy trying to shut us down, but we are back.
We back.
So gender differences, that's where I left off. And so I think that you can't talk communication without talking about how men and women communicate differently. And Mike and I definitely communicate differently. We think that we're communicating the same. We think that we are hearing each other. But I would say it's not even, at this point, it's not even a quarterly, monthly, every now and then check-in. It's a daily check-in. And a lot of times we get kind of hooked around, it's not what you said, but it's how you said it. Or that's not what you said, and this is how you said it. So especially when there's disagreement, I think that's where we got shut down. When there's disagreement, we revert back to the easy thing. You talk about that a lot, but it's what the brain works.
Are we talking? What do you mean?
In terms of comfort and survival.
Oh, yeah. That's what.
And so when your comfort or your survival are threatened, you take the easiest route.
Yeah, unless you're me and you're right, then you take the right route. No, it's a joke. It's a partial joke, but that's what we tend to do, right? Because when you're threatened, and when I mean threatened, I don't mean necessarily that your life feels threatened, but your whatever your position is that you're holding is threatened. Whether you're right to be right is threatened. Whether, as far as you see it, the truth is threatened.
Yes.
Or what it is you want for yourself is threatened, then you tend to revert to, the thing that comes most quickly, most naturally, and which is why a lot of people get into arguments, because when we get upset, or if we feel threatened, then it's a different part of our brain that's operating at that point.
Yes.
We go from that higher level, creative, hey, anything's possible, to my way. I want it now. You know what? I'm right, you're wrong. We go kind of to a different area of the brain that's operating. And that area is more reflexive, and it's less compassionate, less empathetic. It's more about the me. It's the me part of the brain. So that's kind of what it is. Right?
And some of us are more me than others.
So what are you saying?
Just saying.
No, there is no just saying. It's never a just saying. There's always something. What's the message?
No message.
Okay.
Okay. So we got 2 people on there, but I'm seeing 3 names. So that either means it's not showing us everybody. We're about to lose the connection again, or there are 2 of you.
Listen, don't look at the number. Please, don't look at the number.
I'm not looking at the number. I was just saying. So, so communication. So it's a daily check-in. When was the last time you did a check-in with each other, meaning not with us, but with you and you, about how what you're sending is being received? So yeah, we can go back to that old model of sender, message, receiver, message, that whole feedback loop on communication. Kind of boring, right?
Yeah, that whole picture, that thing is garbage. That's what that is.
Well, how do you know what you're trying to communicate? How do you know that that's getting through and that you're being understood? And is it more important to be heard or understood? What do you think?
It's more important to be right.
Lord have mercy. Is it more important to be heard or understood, or to be right?
Well, I think, when somebody says, I hear you, you've been heard. I don't, that does nothing for me. Nothing, because my point is not to be heard, quote unquote. It's not to get, I don't speak to get things off my chest.
Yeah.
I speak for action. Right. And so.
Oh, understood.
Yeah. It's like,
thank you, Dexter.
Thank you, Dexter. It's like, I need you to, because oftentimes, and actually it irritates me a little bit more when people, we're not talking about people, we're talking about each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, certainly there have been times when you said, basically, you hear what I'm saying. I'm like, well, that's cool. Where's the change? Where's the action? I mean, that's just real,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what I think, that because being heard suggests that it's a venting process, right? And so I rarely communicate just to vent.
Right. But women often, and let's just talk about me. Sometimes I am communicating because I want you to hear me. I don't care that you understand me at the moment. I just want to make sure that you heard what I said.
Okay, but what is when people say that, what does it mean? What does it really mean?
Well, for me, it's therapeutic to just get it off my chest. I mean, so I'm saying it. I'm not asking you to take action. I'm not asking you to solve problems. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm not asking you to do anything except listen, so that I can just get it out. And the getting it out is what helps me, or is therapeutic for me. That's what I mean. Just hear me, but hear me and be listening to me, because if you're not listening to me, then you're not able to at least go, yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't believe it. I mean, in terms of, because it's like, okay, okay, all right, I hear you, right? And so, but the problem becomes when, it's, I hear you. Maybe it's the same issue that pops back up. Maybe there's this thing that's just kind of there. And so the same issue pops back up again, maybe again. And so now it's like, do you really want to be heard? No, I think that most people, they say they want to be heard, but what they really mean is something need to change.
Yeah, but
sorry,
most people, but this is me.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so there's really like no code to crack on that one. It's just me, and I'm saying this is what I want or what I need. And so everything else that you think about that in people doesn't apply.
Yeah, but when I say people, I mean, I'm saying people because we're talking to the people. But if I'm talking to you, I mean, the truth is it's not just about being heard. It's like, I don't appreciate the thing you're doing. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. And so that's not just about being heard, right? I mean, that's about something that you would like to see happen, something that you want to see change. And so I think it's important to be clear about what the real desire is, because a lot of people will say, hey, I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to do this and that. I just want to be heard. Well, when you tell me you want to be heard, what I've learned, we've been married April 4th, 1998. There was no iPhone when we got married. Think about it, right? I don't think.
Or Samsung. It might have been
there was no Galaxy. There was a whole lot of stuff. There was no Tesla. Anyway, it was a long time ago. That's all I'm saying. And so we've been doing this for a while. And so what I recognize is that maybe in a moment you want to be heard. Overall, you want something to change.
Sometimes, but there's no hidden message. Sometimes I just want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I want to know that you heard me. So that's the thing. So I want to be heard, but I want you to be listening so that when I say, remember when I said, you can say, yes, I remember when you said that because I was listening. And that's all that it takes. But if I say, hey, remember when I said such and such, and you're like, well, no, because you were talking, but you didn't want me to do anything with that. So I wasn't really listening.
So are you saying that remembering is necessary?
Yes.
Because
remembering, if nothing else, remembering the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes, so if you forget, does that mean you weren't listening? If you forget, does it mean you weren't listening?
Yes.
I don't know that. Because
if you weren't focused.
I can hear you and I can forget that. You know what I'm saying? I can hear you. But we graduated now. We just graduated from hearing to listening to remembering.
But here's what a lot of people will say,
what?
Right? Because I think this came up. You may not remember, or you may forget because you weren't really focused on listening to me. You were focused on work or on your phone, or a lot of women are saying now the game or something else.
Yeah, but I think that's filling in the blanks, right? That is saying, hey, you know what? Because you don't remember, that means you were doing something else that is more important. I just don't know if that's the case. The way that memory works, right? There's a certain process that goes into creating memories, and so because there are elements that people don't remember all the time, I would be cautious about saying, hey, it wasn't important enough for you. But that's where it will tend to go sometimes. It's like you don't remember, it was something that was important to me. It wasn't important enough to you, therefore you don't remember. I just think that is potentially an error in judgment.
Yeah, but that often happens.
Yeah, and so I think the key there too, fellas, is you better try to remember that conversation, because
right. But here's what we don't need and what we don't want. And I'll just go out on a limb. And ladies,
who's we?
Yeah, I'm speaking for the ladies. Ladies, you can chime in.
We were talking about us. I was just telling you.
We're talking about us, but I'm speaking to the ladies to kind of get some response. So
this is good. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
We don't need a yes, dear mentality, right? I don't need you faking it.
Well, that is exactly what a lot of dudes out there. That's the advice they're giving.
Yeah, well, hey, dudes out there, if you got that advice.
Wait a minute. Okay,
go ahead.
You go easy on the fellas, all right?
Well, you just said it.
I said it, but I didn't say it for you to be like, all right, y'all, get it together. No, but
I'm saying if that's the advice that they were given, really the only advice that you should follow is the advice that's coming from your wife, as it pertains to how you respond to when she's communicating with you.
So do you want, I'm going to talk to tonight, just let me talk to the fellas, because I think, I sense a twinge of negativity in your tone.
Oh my goodness.
Toward the fellas.
There's no negativity. You just said that's generally the advice.
I'm saying I'll deal with that advice. I was getting there, so I'm just dealing with that. So you were just talking to the ladies, right?
I did.
But all right.
I was trying to check in with the ladies to see if that's what they get. So as it pertains to us daily.
Let me
go ahead.
I'll finish the thought.
Okay.
Here's the problem with the yes, dear mentality. Wendy just kind of got mentioned it a bit. Yes, dear is simply a delaying tactic. Basically, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just, I'm gonna nod my head until you finish talking.
Yes, Mrs. Peggings. Yes.
Right, and so.
I'm sorry.
Like I was saying, right? But that so if you are and that tends to happen, right? It's like I'm saying yes, dear. I'm watching the game. It's like, gotcha, yeah. Then when that thing comes back around and she says, hey, don't you remember we talked about this? And it's like, what? And so yes, dear, will only get you so far. and it's an avoidance type technique too, right? And so I just don't recommend that. And I hear people, matter of fact, as recently as a couple of days ago, somebody giving that very same advice, truly, genuinely giving that advice. Listen, it's horrible advice. It just is. So stop it, fellas. Just stop it. All right. It's easy to just have the doggone conversation. Trust me, right? A little bit of pain up front saves you a whole lot of pain.
Wow.
I mean,
see, did you know see what I'm saying? Right there? Nope. What are you saying? I know what I heard.
You took it the wrong way.
I know
a little effort in the beginning saves you a lot of pain later. And effort equals pain. You lift weights, effort, pain, right? That's what I'm saying. I didn't mean like physical. Anyway, what you got?
Well, that's what you said.
I know what I said.
Right. So that's that, right? So let's talk about nagging. Right, because nagging tends to come up when you talk to couples.
Is nagging on the outline?
What's on the outline?
There is no outline.
Exactly.
I didn't know we were talking outline.
Yes, it is.
So
let's talk about nagging. Yeah,
okay.
Well, nagging tends to come up. Wait, let me spit this down because I'm popping. Because nagging tends to come up when you talk to couples about difficulties or challenges in their communication. Difficulties or challenges in it. When we talk to couples, it often comes up that nagging. She nags me or he nags me, and I'm just tired of them nagging. Because if you're nagging or you're going on and on about something, it loses it's easy for someone to lose focus, and it loses its power because of the way that you're communicating. So let's go from that. So it's how and then the way. We talked about how, right? A little bit. Was that how? Well, let's talk about the way. So, nagging. What you say about nagging?
What would I say about it?
Let's say you. Mm-hmm.
I mean, nagging.
Yeah.
Okay. So, nagging is kind of like...
Hey, Gloria. We have some technical difficulties. What do you think about that, baby? We have some technical difficulties. We lost a few people, but I'm glad you were able to join us, and we're really just getting into it. So now we're talking about nagging.
Yeah.
Go ahead, baby.
Nagging. Okay, so first I think we need to kind of talk about what does it mean? To me, when you say nagging, it is coming back to something over and over and over again, even though it has been addressed, or at least the assumption or the feeling, the belief is that it has been addressed, right? And so nagging is kind of picking at that same thing, and so that's how some people might describe it anyway. I don't know, somebody on there.
Yeah, but nagging is. There's a difference between nagging and revisiting, right? Sometimes revisiting.
Okay.
So sometimes the nagging is, I ask you to do something. Right? And then I keep coming back. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? I see that you're doing something else. Did you do the thing that I asked you to do? And you continue to just kind of hound on that same thing and continually bug and pressure because you're not seeing that it was done, right? Revisiting may be continually bringing up something from the past that maybe at the time was seemingly resolved, but it really wasn't, because then otherwise it wouldn't keep coming up. You know what I'm saying? So then it's revisiting a thing. Revisiting an issue is a little bit different than nagging on an issue or a point.
Okay.
Is that clear? I mean, does that make sense?
It's kind of splitting hairs a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean, I think the bottom line is that when someone is nagging you, I mean, I think when we use those words, a lot of people can, can relate to whether they can see it, right? Yeah. Gloria says that nagging is always having something to say about everything. Also, it's like, man, you won't stop. Get off me about that thing. Okay, got it, right? And so I think, but I think that there's something to nagging. There's some evidence. There's something in that potentially that gives you a little bit of information, and perhaps that it simply means that whatever the real issue is hadn't been addressed or hasn't fully been tapped into. Right? I think I understand what you're talking about, so I'm going to go and do something so you'll stop sweating me.
Are you talking nagging or revisiting?
I'm talking nagging, but I don't know what so
okay.
I'm just saying I think that I get it, and so I'm trying to address that thing. But I think a lot of folks, they want the nagging to stop, right? And so they're running from the nagging without really hearing the message. So I think, that's all I'll say right now. But I think there's a solution.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
and
I'm just wondering if you got anything on that before we jump to solution.
No, go ahead. What's the solution? Because I mean, we kind of gave a couple of sides to nagging. Yep, both. LOL.
Right. I mean, nagging, revisiting. I just don't think it requires a whole bunch of definitions. It's like, yes, I would say sweating. Sweating is kind of a modern day nagging. It's like, why you sweat me so much, right? Nagging. So, but I think that two things have to happen. The sender, okay? The sender, and if we're talking, say, the wife, in this case, has to send a message, right? Send a clear message. What do you want? What do you really want, right?
I mean, are you asking me what I really want?
I'm not asking you now.
You said the wife has to send.
I'm saying if you're the sender, if you're the person that's doing the nagging.
Oh, okay. So who's nagging? The wife?
That's what I just said.
Okay, go ahead.
So you gotta deal with. You gotta send a clear message. What do you really want? No beating around the bush. Not talking about a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with what you really want. And not revisiting how everything else relates to this other thing that you want. Be clear about what you want, what you need, right? So that's important. But for the receiver, the husband, that would be me in this case, it's important to pause and to actually genuinely listen and understand what it is she needs in order to meet that need. Because if you're meeting needs, you won't get nagged, generally speaking, right?
Yes, needs and requests. That's good.
You're
generally
welcome.
Speaking.
Yeah, I mean, because it's, they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease or the oil or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Oil the doggone wheel. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it's like, man, why won't this thing stop squeaking? In fact, our kitchen door.
Oil the wheel.
What is that?
That's good.
Oh, okay, so it's like our kitchen door keeps squeaking, right? And every week or so, I'm like, man, that door is still squeaking. Guess what? I have not sprayed WD-40 on it. Now, the truth is, I haven't done that, so I can tell when our door is going in and out. But
my goodness.
I'm just saying. That's
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, okay. So we talked about being hurt, or I think we talked about, and then we talked about nagging. So here's what's challenging, right? So we've been married for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And we talk to each other a lot.
Yeah.
So you would think that we kind of have an understanding about what each other is trying to say.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
Because we've been married for 20 plus years.
Okay, so what's my point?
What is your point?
Right. So do people generally make assumptions that I already know what you're going to say because I've heard you many times? I know what you're going to say because I know how to read you. I know what you're going to say because I know you.
Yes.
Yes, you do, Gloria.
You need to know what kind of oil to use.
What oil to use.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. So anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yes. Lubrication. Makes everything less squeaky. Yeah, it makes things less squeaky. And it makes things move with ease.
Yes, it does. It's the grown folks show. Wait a minute, what time is it? We still prime time. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue. Yeah.
So we bring all of that, what we know or what we think we know, to every conversation. So then what tends to happen, and we've experienced this, is it might be cute to finish each other's sentences, but it's not cute when you're not right. So I can finish your sentences because I think I know, but then when I finish it wrong, he lets me know before I can finish it. So I could be finishing his sentence, and before I can finish finishing his sentence, he lets me know that what I'm saying is not what he was going to say. And then he lets me know to stop doing that. Stop finishing my sentences. And I'm like, okay, but you know what? 90% of the time, I know what you're going to say and I'm right. But 15%, 10% of the time, I'm wrong. But the point is, because I cannot be 100% right, that the solution is to let him finish his own sentences.
Not the point.
The solution is to let him finish his own sentences before I ask a question or make a comment.
Right. Well, that's the solution. But the point is not.
Yeah, but I was offering the solution and you came with not the point.
Right. Because what you said is, because you can't finish 100% of my sentences, then you should let me kind of participate in the conversation. Let's say for a second, you could complete 100% of my sentences. Could I just like sit here?
Yeah, well, I'm not having a conversation with myself. What makes my life rich is actually to be able to have a conversation with him. So when I deny him the opportunity to do his part in the communication and in the conversation, I'm really kind of denying myself a little bit of variety.
No, but yeah, what she's what you said. So I mean, I think it's important because particularly when you've known someone, the longer you know them, right? You know their tendencies, and we begin to think that we know. And so what happens is, and this is even before you begin to speak to each other, you think I'm going to say this, and she's going to say that, right? I'm going to say this, and he's going to come back with that. And so all of a sudden, people do it all the time, and a lot of you do it, where you having a conversation, your own internal conversation about who's going to say what, and before you know it, you're like you've had an entire dialogue by yourself.
Yeah.
And so that can impact how that dialogue then goes, because a lot of times, we've practiced speaking to each other so much, right? I mean, so many days, so many conversations. When a conversation starts, you've already practiced it. So when you hear something, and that practice, by the way, is like automatic. But when you hear something and you think and then you go after it, it's really not a fair way to communicate. You actually have to give people an opportunity to participate in this communication, like together, because before it's two people talking, before the speaking begins, it's not communication. Or before the interaction begins, it's not communication, it's you thinking, right? And so what you need to do is to ensure that everybody, if everybody's you too, are able to get to weigh into this conversation. So you're actually having a conversation. And that conversation could go all, in so many directions. You just don't know. But you can't like cut people off because you think you know the answers. So
but talking face to face.
You said but. Is that are you about to counter?
No, I'm going to another point. Okay. Talking face to face. If it was like talking on the phone, it would be a little different, right? Because when you're talking on the phone, it's kind of already practiced in, for most people, I think, maybe just for me. But when I'm talking on the phone, it's a little bit different. I'm trying to listen to hear what is being asked, what is being said, and then I'm responding, and then I'm talking to be heard, to be responded to. You know what I'm saying? And so on the phone, because you can't really add in any other information except for what you brought to it, but you're not seeing, you're not sensing. Well, maybe that's a lie. Anyway, but on the phone it's a little bit different. The common courtesies with a phone conversation are a little bit different than the face-to-face conversation.
Interesting. Why would it be different?
I think it is.
But why would it be? Because I mean,
we're not a good example because I don't like to talk on the phone.
Yeah, but I mean,
talking on the phone for me is like shopping for you.
I know, but you're about to drift. I want you to drift, and I want you to stay right there.
Yeah,
because
it's different.
Because ultimately, I'm asking why is it different? Because it sounds like what you said is if you're on the phone, there's more space, right? There's respect for the person speaking, and
there is.
And you're suggesting that face to face, it's different. And so
I'm saying, it can be.
Why would it be different, and why should it not be the same as when you're
so I started by saying that they should be the same.
Oh, okay,
but for me it's different.
Maybe we should have talked on the phone more.
When we talked on the phone in the beginning, we talked on the phone for like all night. You know how you fall asleep on the phone and it's like, hey, you sleep? Nah, I'm not asleep. You sleep? No. And then everybody is quiet for like 5 minutes because you're both asleep. Did y'all do that? We did that. Yeah, we did that.
We did that probably like what, once?
I don't know, because then you were there.
Okay, we 30 minutes in.
Okay, so yeah, okay, back to communication. And so why is the challenge even after several years? So forget that it's been 21 or 20 plus, and forget the time that we dated and all that. You know, when you really think about it, what is the point of communication? And the point of communication and communicating and defining it, it is not just talking. It is not just to convey a thought or a message, right? That's just talking. We could talk all day and we could talk to ourselves, right? But communicating is so much more than just talking. Mm-hmm. So what is communicating?
In communicating, there is an exchange. It's not, see, like talking and I guess listening, the whole yes dear thing, that's letting somebody talk, right? But communication reflects that you have an appreciation for what's being said. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm just here and I want it to be over. I'm actually engaging in the conversation, even if it's something that may not be what I want to talk about. Maybe it's something that doesn't feel good to talk about.
Yes.
But because Wendy wants to talk about it, well, guess what? I'm all in because I have to be, because otherwise it can become very frustrating. And to have a message, to have something you want to say, but you're sending it to somebody who is not really processing or actively dealing with what you said. Have you ever been speaking to somebody and you know that happens? It's happened with us from time to time. It's like I'm talking to you, but you are somewhere else. It's like, you know, your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. That's come on now.
I finished this.
I was trying
but I was right.
But she was right on that one. But I was going to say it in a way that had a different type of cadence and rhythm. It's too late. The moment has passed.
And see that,
too
right?
Late.
That comes up often.
Yeah.
That thing. I have to be like, okay, but say what you were going to say. And it's like, nope,
you know,
moment has passed.
Go for it, right? You got it. So, I mean, that's, you know, but it's the lesson there. What is the lesson that you take from that?
Grace.
And the church said,
amen.
All right. Yeah, grace.
So communication. So what did you say communication is? Communication is?
Hey, it's Barbara
Jean. You should be getting close. How close are you, Barbara Jean Smith? I know you got to be close. You're not at the hospital right now, are you? But okay. But, communication. Yes. What is it?
Well, that's what we're just saying. It's an exchange. It is not simply, it's not even simply hearing or listening, right? It's an active exchange where you are appreciating what's being said to you and you're dealing with what's being said, not trying to escape, not just trying to get through it, but actually kind of, you know, understanding the context of the conversation and what's important to 7 more weeks.
Ooh, all right. Countdown. Yay.
So Gloria Hamilton. So that means stop interrupting. She
amen.
Preach, Gloria Hamilton.
Yes.
She's talking to you.
So does anybody get? I mean, that means she's not right.
Oh, she right. Okay, good. Does it
mean, but you know, the interrupting. So let's dissect why I interrupt. Because I do. I own it. I interrupt. Not to be rude. It's not to be rude.
Okay.
I don't interrupt to be disrespectful. Not disrespecting you, right? Generally, the primary reason that I interrupt is because it's taking too long to get to the point. There, that's it.
Is that your story for the people?
That's the primary reason that I interrupt.
Okay. Are you sure about this?
I am. Okay. I just said it.
I think you believe that.
It is true.
So, okay, here's a question. Y'all don't have to answer it because I know y'all love Wendy. And so...
I love y'all too.
And so everybody loves Wendy. So you don't have to answer it. But my question is this. Does rudeness or disrespect require intent to be rudeness or disrespect?
Yes. Oh, I'm not answering.
You say yes. Okay. So Wendy says yes. I don't happen to share Wendy's sentiment on that. I don't. Right.
Yeah, well, but here, okay, so let's take that a step further, because in communication, how much of communication is intent?
I don't really understand the question.
So when I'm communicating, when we're exchanging, right, and my message and my intention is tied up in what I'm trying to get across, right? So how much?
See, no and no. Thank you, ladies.
Yes, ladies.
No, I think they're
no.
No, what?
What are they saying?
They're answering the question.
What was the question?
Does rudeness and disrespect require intent to be rudeness or disrespect? I think that is the question they're answering.
They're saying no. Okay, that's fine. I still love y'all. But you're right, Gloria. My perception is my reality.
Yeah, but you know, Gloria, no, Gloria.
Okay, so now I'm distracted.
We're not even getting into it.
Don't distract me.
Exactly.
But in terms of intent, right?
That was it.
In terms of intent.
Yeah.
What was it? Distraction?
Yeah, you sound distracted. Wendy is often distracted. That's it. That's what happens. It's not me taking a long time.
No, it is.
Okay. So anywho, whatever the case, listen.
It is. I'm a fast processor. I'm like a Intel 7. What?
So you know what? Don't talk computer processor.
What is it? What is this?
This is an 8th generation Intel Core i7 processor.
Yes, that's me. I'm a 9th generation Intel Core i8 processor, not even out yet.
So
I'm like this.
So we're trying to help the people.
Did you get that?
We're trying to stop. Don't click into it. Don't snap into it. That's not.
That's how fast I'm processing.
I'm about to mute Wendy.
And Mike, what are you?
I am quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Lord have mercy.
That's what I am. That's what the word says.
That's what the word says.
That's what I'm striving
you should
to be.
Yeah, yep. Amen.
Yeah.
Striving to be.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
What? I don't get it.
Processing speed.
Oh, I see. What's a 380? I don't know what 380 is. I'm sorry. So anyway, but listen, no, but
okay.
but seriously, in terms of kind of cutting off, I think it's important. It doesn't even matter, right? How fast you process information. It doesn't matter how much you don't want to hear what's going on, because what I just said earlier is that what somebody is saying, that it has to be important enough for you to stay connected and to hear what they're saying, right? Because otherwise, there are either parts of the conversation that don't happen, or potentially there's frustration involved with that. So I just think it's a good idea to stay in there and to listen.
Okay? Yes, I think it is a good idea. So back to us and this communication thing. So what we've learned is we cannot just apply everything that we believe that we know about the person, even when we know them better than anyone else. I know Mike better than anybody else. There is nobody alive today that knows my husband better than I do. However, there are some things that I forget intentionally. But I know him. I can honestly sit here and say I know him better than anyone. So just because I know him better than anyone does not give me the right to cut him off, finish his sentences, tell him what he's saying, tell him what he's thinking, and tell him what he meant.
Yep.
True. Yes. Did you hear what I said?
I heard it all.
Yeah, your response is kind of like whatever she said.
No, she's right. I mean, no, I appreciate what you said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do know me better than anybody on the planet at this point.
Right, you heard that part.
Yeah, and because you want me to repeat it all, because you know better than anybody on the planet does not give you the right to complete my sentences and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Got it, right? And so, yeah, thank you. So I think that the bottom line is this. communication, I mean, there's so many ways it can go wrong. It is a two-way street. Mm-hmm. And that street, the traffic on that street goes back and forth and all around. Mm-hmm. And you can't avoid actually having the conversation. Mm-hmm. So we need to pause and create space so that we can hear each other. We need to actually, and not just, give it lip service and nod our heads, but we actually need to have an exchange.
Yes.
And that is a verbal, but also, everything matters. Your body language matters. Your eye contact matters. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you touch each other matters. There's a lot that we say physically, right? And so all that matters. And I think that ultimately, even if there's disagreement, love has got to carry the day, right? And so,
especially when there's disagreement.
Yeah, especially when there's disagreement. And when there is disagreement, scripture, this one, everybody knows this one, but I want you to take it, and I want you to take it apart piece by piece, maybe every day. But it's 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 13, verse 4. And in the NIV and ESV, that's where love, right? Love is patient and kind.
Yes.
Right? Patient and kind.
What if we're still live?
Why?
Hey, Gloria, let us know if we're still live.
We're still live. And so we're still live.
Okay.
All right. Patient and kind. It is not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And verse 8 says, love never ends. And so if we are communicating with love, then actually that would fix a lot of folks' communication problems. If we were to pick that apart on a regular basis and really ask ourselves and check yourself, not the other person, is this what I'm doing?
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, then you need to check yourself first. And we always want the other person to check themselves. Everybody, a lot of people we want to be right. We want to be right. And yet it ultimately doesn't matter if you're right, if you're constantly arguing or if you're disconnected, right? And so I would encourage everyone to really kind of assess themselves based on scriptures like that.
Right. And so when you go to 1 Corinthians 13, I would encourage you to look at it from this perspective, because what it says is love is patient, love is kind, and then it goes into what love is not, right? And so if you insert communication in place of the word
look at that.
Love, what do you get? So look at that scripture again, kind of meditate on that and reframe it. And look at it from the perspective of communication, because I think that one of the differences in communicating versus talking, you said communication is an exchange. The point of us communicating should fundamentally be to express, convey, and exchange love through words.
Maybe.
That should be the goal.
Through words. Earlier words maybe.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it is expressing love.
Right.
With words.
With everything.
Okay, well, with everything. All that you say communication is.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's understood that that's what's occurring, then does that change your level of patience, understanding, acceptance when it comes to what's being communicated and how it's being communicated?
I don't understand. What's the question? What do you ask?
The question is, if you saw it
our process kind of slow.
She is that, yes. If you say, okay, Wendy is choosing to communicate with me, right? So she's about to give me some love. About to give me some love. She is about to make love to my ears and my heart.
You say some love.
Right.
Okay.
So if you packaged it that way, then when I attempted to communicate or I started to talk or express or all of the things that I bring, would it change how you received what I was sending?
You said, would it change? I mean, is the assumption that I'm making some type of a negative? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm asking. So, as we go into it, do you think that would change how you view my attempts at communication?
Perhaps. I guess it depends on what you said next.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, so what if I said
if you make love to my ears, I'm like, yeah, I think I like that. I mean, it's the word, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
so here, try this.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, if you knew that my intent was love, then does that change if what I'm saying or how I say it comes across as being rude?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, I mean, because unlike earlier, right? If your intent is love, if your intent is, something that's going to be uplifting, if your intent is something that's going to be like, to the benefit of us, right? Sometimes you don't like what you're hearing, right? But the intent is clear, right? And so, yeah, I think that would change it. I mean, that would I mean, I say change it. I mean, that would determine perhaps how I interpreted what I'm hearing.
Well, hey,
yeah,
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So how many of you find yourselves wasting your precious ear love making time with making love to their ears time? How much of you find yourself using that time? Most of the time, you're jeopardizing the time to talk about what the person's not doing.
Nitpicking? Is that what you're talking about?
Nope.
Oh, you're not talking about nitpicking? Oh, okay.
I mean, so why would I waste my words and my expression and my exchange on you never, I didn't, what you said was, and all that other stuff when it's not getting to a point and the only point is being made is what's not happening. When the whole point and the gift of being able to communicate is to be an expression of love.
Yes.
What are you saying yes to?
I'm just saying, because you asked, you said how many of you? You asked them a question.
Oh yes, how many of you? Okay, so you.
Yeah, what? What's up?
Yeah. So what do you say? I'm asking you.
You're asking me what you just asked them?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really processing it in that way. I wasn't prepared to answer the question.
Okay, Mike. So, how much of your ear love making time is focused and is captured and jeopardized by you said, you didn't say, you were wrong, I was right, whatever, fill in the blank? How much of that precious time is taken up with that stuff versus really capitalizing on being able to express the love and receive the love?
It's hard to say. But whatever the number, however much it is, if it's not about kind of coming closer together, then it's too much time. That's the bottom line. So I don't know how much time. Too much here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so I know that a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about, debating, you said this, I said that. No, I didn't say that. And it gets very circular. And so if you're going in circles, you know where you're actually going? Nowhere. Not a doggone place. Right. And so
did you pause for me to join in or did I cut you off?
No, that was clearly a pause.
Oh.
I even looked in your direction.
Oh, I felt that.
Did you feel it? Really?
I did.
Okay. So, yeah. So it's important to not get kind of wrapped up in all that foolishness. And speaking of wrapping up, we probably need to go ahead and wrap up.
Yes, we're gonna wrap up soon.
Okay.
Yes.
You said something. What else you got?
Yeah. So what I got is the watch story. So before we wrap up, for anybody that just tuned in this week to hear what happened with this watch. So one of the pivotal points in our communication history was surrounding this watch. This is before we got engaged to be married. So rewind back 21 years ago. And Mike had some friends before he met me, some of which were women. And they considered themselves to be really close friends. I mean, I had my friends too, who were not women.
Okay, listen.
So,
are we talking?
Anyway,
what story are we telling?
His birthday was coming up. Or was it Christmas?
My goodness.
Was it Christmas?
I don't know.
It was either Christmas or his birthday. His birthday's in February. We know when Christmas is. And so, okay, yes. Yes, I'm seeing your comments, but they're coming in kind of slow. So we need to make sure that we read your comments. But yeah, appreciate you. So anyway, it was Christmas or his birthday. Whatever it was a time for him to receive gifts. I think it was your birthday because you were the only one getting gifts. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I was going to get him a really nice watch. I think I got you a watch. Yes. So prior to his birthday, he received a gift from one of his good friends from before we met. And it was a really nice watch.
Pretty nice.
And my thought was, why are you getting such a really nice watch from a friend? I mean, this wasn't, a decent watch. This was an expensive, really nice, you are my man watch. Now, given that he was now my man, there should not have been, this is a really nice, I want to convey more than I was thinking about you, happy birthday watch. I mean, because at this point, any friend that you have knows that you are not her man and basically should just send a birthday card. Yes. But this person sent a really nice watch. And so my thought was, hey, that's going back, right? And you remember your response?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, do you remember anything about getting the watch?
I remember the whole story, but I think the way you're breaking it down is
somewhat okay, so what's your version before we say what it was? What do you recall?
You don't recall this? I got the watch. Mm-hmm. It was, it was pretty shockingly expensive, right? And so I actually sent that watch back before I ever told Wendy about it. You remember that? So I got the watch. I actually pondered I pondered for a number of days. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna fix this? Because I think this watch is nice, right? So I'm like, how am I gonna fix this? And then I came to the conclusion, and when I decided that Wendy was the one, I decided that she was the only one, right? And so all of the side friendships or whatever, they had to go, and I actively dealt with those, right? And received this watch, as pondered for a little while, and then I sent the watch back.
No, the watch was being prepared to be sent back, but you still had it. You hadn't sent it back yet.
Okay. So did you ever physically see the watch?
Yep, okay. I did. That's how I know how nice a watch it was.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that actually matters, right? Because I was preparing to send the watch back, but I wasn't going to just get it, send it back, and just let it all be secret, right? Transparency, people. So I said, hey, you know what? Got this watch, but I'm sending it back. Wendy, you were actually angry because I was going to send it back. I was preparing to send it back, but I hadn't told you. I wasn't going to tell you something like that.
I think I was angry because you were preparing to send it back, but it hadn't been sent yet. And there was a period of pondering where I thought, hey, there's nothing to ponder here. We are not keeping this watch. We are not keeping the watch. So I'm thinking you get the watch and you're like, oh no. And the watch, day at the post office and send it right back. Like right then.
Anyway, get on with the story. Get on with it.
So anyway, so we came, and yes, Gloria, if I allowed him to keep the friend the gift stay, this watch thing started a conversation about friends. So so I was feeling some kind of way, and we were in disagreement because I'm like, what's the question, right? What is this person trying to say with this watch? And he's like, oh, nothing. We're just friends. She's not trying to say anything. I mean, we're just really good friends, and she just wanted me to have a nice watch.
She gave expensive gifts.
Right. How many of these watches did you get before we were at this point in our relationship?
None.
Exactly.
But there was stuff. Anyway, get on with it? Let's go.
Okay, so here it is. So we can close this out. So here's the thing, right? So she got on the watch. I said the watch should go back. There was some trepidation. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, Dexter, right. Mm-hmm. But I got a better watch because it was better because it came from me. And I was giving the watch to say, you know what? When you see this man with this watch, you know his woman gave it to him. That's what it was. So anyway, so we were at a disagreement. And this is before engagement, before we had decided to spend the rest of our lives together. And so this was the first time we really came to a point where we were not in agreement and we were at odds a little bit. And I felt like he was being defensive and not hearing me. And he was kind of treating me like I was blowing it up out of proportion when it didn't need to be. Right. And so we're going at it. And my arms are crossed, my eyes are squinted. I'm stomping around my apartment. And and he's not getting it. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Right. And so as fate would have it, in the middle of this argument, the enemy was busy, y'all. In the middle of the argument, the phone rings. And it's one of my male friends.
And by the way, these clowns will call all the time.
Okay, wait.
Call, hang up.
Different conversation. This is the watch story.
I know, but
so it was one of my male friends from college, and he's like, "Hey, what's wrong? You sound like something's going on." And I'm like, "Yeah, let me tell you what just happened." Mm-hmm. While I go in the kitchen to get a beer. So then the whole world turned upside down because I was mad. I'm talking to an old male friend. Now I add in a little bit of beer while I'm walking back and forth in front of this one with him and his watch on my couch.
The watch was on. Her memory is okay.
Anyway. Love you, Barbara Jean. I know we're dragging it out. Sorry. Put the babies to bed. Mm-hmm. So all that said, we got into it. It went way in the wrong direction. Now, all of this was coming out before we made a decision to spend the rest of our lives together. And so you know the rest of the story. And what happened then was everything had to stop. He was looking at me like, get off the phone. And so I had to get off the phone. I got off the phone and we talked. And we really talked about something really real, probably for one of the real first times in our relationship. And we talked about things that we hadn't talked about. We talked about the friends, the male and female friends on either side of our lives. We talked about the feelings. We talked about our feelings and what it all meant and how we found ourselves here. But what became very clear that night was that I wasn't giving him up at that point, and he wasn't trying to lose me. And was it the next night?
It was like the same night. It was a long, crazy night.
It was a long, crazy night. Okay, yes. So that ended in his proposal.
Yeah, well, no, what happened? Okay, so here, I love how it was beautiful how she broke it down. Yeah. The truth is that she went to bed angry. And so, and a lot of that dialogue that I had further dialogue with myself and the Lord about, okay, what are you doing and why are you doing it, right? And so there was a several hour span, maybe even 6 hours before the proposal, which was like in the middle of the night because it just needed to happen right then. So that's how it was. Yep.
Because there was too much, and it got our attention. So although the enemy was busy, it should always be that when the enemy is busy, you both can come back and remember why you're in it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we said last week was that from the very beginning, God was in our marriage, in our relationship. And we both knew that, and we both depended on that. And at that point, and for many years, probably every year after, we're reminded of the gift that we are to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't willing to lose him over some foolishness, and he was not willing to lose me over the same thing. And it really wasn't about the watch at all. It was about protecting the thing that we both wanted to communicate was valuable to us, to each other, right?
Yeah. And there was no threat, y'all. I mean, she had me like, I mean, it was a lot. That was nice watch though, Dex. I mean, it was a nice watch. But yes, come on, give up your life for a watch? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to go. And as well as like I cleaned the slate on even like friend type relationships, and we'll talk about that later, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week, because even when you make a decision to clear the slate, everybody who in your family and your other friends, everybody is not always at the same point that you are. Mm-hmm. And so it takes a little bit longer sometimes for other people to let go or end it or sever those relationships, because they don't really have the same stake. They have created relationships with the people, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we'll talk about that a little bit more. So that is the watch story. That's the watch story.
More or less. I mean,
more or less.
It's been a long time. But.
And so, but really what that represents is that something as horrible as an argument, something as painful as disagreement, something as disparaging and separating, something that can come in and create a wedge between you.
Mm-hmm.
God can turn that around and make it become the thing that brings you closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you recognize why you feel so strongly or why you feel so passionately about that thing, at the root of it, it's about how you feel about that person.
Yeah, but I think it is. I ask yourself a question, right? And the question I ask myself, is she the one or not? Answer is yes. Once the answer is yes, then that's just a simple acknowledgement that whatever it requires in order to make that work, right? To make her happy, to play the role that I'm supposed to play, that's what I'm going to do. And so it's not a question about a choice like, do it, not do it, because I've already made this choice. She is my woman, right? And so, and I prayed for her. Here she is. And so after that, what choice is there to make, right? Except to do what needs to be done. And that's why I think it's so important, if we're talking about communicating in a way that expresses love and expresses that I care about you, I care about what you think, I care about who you are, then what choice is there to make except to make the adjustment, communicate in love, be patient, get present, listen, stop being so distracted, right? And try to connect with this person at a deeper level every day, all the time. So,
yes, every day, and recognize that the wedge that's trying to be driven, or that can be driven, is sometimes the enemy at work, because he doesn't want to see us happy, in synchronization, or in sync, getting along and loving, because when we love, we emit love to others. So we've been talking too long. Hopefully we were able to successfully communicate our points and you were able to understand what it is that we were trying to say. Remember why you got married in the first place. Remember what you're trying to do, that is make love to their ears when you communicate.
And don't talk to another man about your man. That's what I'm saying.
No matter who that man is.
It might not end so good for you.
Don't talk to another woman about your woman. And that's the old wisdom and godly wisdom. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful about taking your issues to other people to resolve.
Yeah.
So with that, we've been talking a long time. We got a little setback because of our technical difficulties. So then we kind of had to go back. But it was long. I know. But hey. So that's it.
Okay.
That's it for this week.
Hey, Weekend to Remember is coming up October 26th through 28th.
Here in Augusta.
Half off is on tonight. I think there's a grace period into tomorrow night. www.connectmovegrow. Oh, sorry. That's our business. www.weekendtoremember.com. Pick the Augusta event. Put in the group code OGBC Evans.
Yes, and follow our page at OGBC Married Couples, and put in the reminder to be notified when we go live. We're here every Monday at 7:30 ish.
I thought it was
at 7-ish.
It's 7.
Every Monday at 7-ish.
Yeah.
For Inside Marriage. Until next week, have a blessed week.
Bye.
Bye.